Origins of writing systems. Mythological origins. Among many ancient societies, writing has held an extremely special and important role. Often writing is so revered that myths and deities were drawn up to explain its divine origin. In ancient Egypt, for example, the invention of writing is attributed to the god Thoth, who was not only the scribe and historian of the gods, but also kept the calendar and invented art and science. In some Egyptian myths, Thoth is also portrayed as the creator of speech, and possesses the power to transform speech into material objects. This ties in closely with the Egyptian belief that in order for a person to achieve immortality, his or her name must be spoken or inscribed somewhere forever. In Mesopotamia, among the Sumerians, the god Enlil was the creator of writing. Later, during Assyria and Babylonian periods, the god Nabu was credited as the inventor of writing and scribe of the gods. And similar to Thoth, Mesopotamian scribal gods also exhibit the power of creation via divine speech. Among the Maya, the supreme deity Etzana was a shaman and sorcerer, as well as the creator of the world. In fact, the root of his name, Etz, can be roughly translated as magical substance, usually secreted by some object that sustains the gods. Etzana was also responsible for the creation of writing and timekeeping. Strangely enough though, Etzana isn't a scribal god. This duty falls on, usually a pair of monkey gods, as depicted on many Maya pots, and is also preserved in the Highland Maya epic, Popol Vuh. Still, in one rare case, the scribe is a rabbit. In China, the invention of writing is not attributed to a deity, but instead to an ancient sage, named Zheng-Chi, who was a minister in the court of the legendary Huang Tai, Yellow Emperor. While not divine, this invention occurred in mythological times, and served as a communication tool between heaven, realm of gods and ancestors, and earth, realm of humans. As demonstrated by the inscribed oracle bones, used for divination during historical times. Whether as a medium to communicate with the gods, or as a magical or supernatural power, writing clearly possesses a divine nature in these ancient cultures. Hence, writing became not only a way to extend memory, but also as a tool for the elite to justify their rule upon the common, illiterate, ignorant people. Jumping ahead in time, to the 19th century, we come to a point when social sciences went askew. Some scholars held that writing was invented only once, in Mesopotamia, and all subsequent writing systems were offshoots of this one original. They claim that Chinese and English writing were evolved from Middle Eastern prototypes, and they completely treated Maya not as a writing system, but as a purely calendrical and mnemonic system. More disturbing is the fact that they began to abuse Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. They separated writing systems into functional types, which is still valid and scientific. However, they assign evolvedness to each group with the alphabet being the most evolved and inherently the best system. Logographic systems, like Chinese, are considered primitive, archaic, and much more inferior. And syllabic systems simply fall somewhere in between. The rationale is that alphabet has a small number of signs, is easy on your memory, and allows the writer to specify every phonetic value in the language, down to the most minute detail. The biggest problem with the monogenesis of writing systems, and its subsequent diffusion, is obviously that of culturally tainted views. It easily placed Europe as the pinnacle of civilization, and relegated the rest of the world to the primitive and unevolved nature of all other continents of the world, and helped to justify Europe's imperialistic age. This theory began to break down when the evidence for the indigenous origin of Chinese became very strong. With the discovery of the oracle bones, and the lack of any earlier text in the vast space between the Iranian Plateau and the Yellow River. Another blow was the decipherment of Maya hieroglyphs, which revealed a writing system just as sophisticated as anyone ever found in the Old World. The stage is now set for a modern view of how writing came about. Modern-day views. Nowadays, there is more or less consensus on a few points concerning the origin of writing. First of all, writing was invented independently in at least 3 places: Mesopotamia, China, and Mesoamerica. Recent discoveries might also provide evidence that writing was invented in Egypt and Indus, independently of Mesopotamia. Furthermore, the concept of evolvedness, prevalent in the monogenesis theory, is refuted in the modern view. No type of writing system is superior or inferior to another, as the type is often dependent on the language they represent. For example, the syllabary works perfectly fine in Japanese, because it can reproduce all Japanese words, but it wouldn't work with English, because the English language has a lot of consonant clusters that a syllabary language will have trouble spelling out. The pretense that the alphabet is more efficient is also flawed. Yes, the number of letters is smaller, but when you read a sentence in English, do you really spell individual letters to form a word? The answer is no. You scan the entire word as if it is a logogram. And finally, writing systems are not a marker of civilization. There are many major urban cultures in the world that did not employ writing systems, such as the Andean cultures, Moche, Chimu, Inca, etc. But that didn't prevent them from building impressive states and empires whose complexity rivals those in the Old World.